I joked to my ex maybe it's your child right after giving birth. My husband walked out of the hospital that same night, but what my family did next will shock you even more. They all took his side and left me alone with a newborn, claiming I'd been crossing boundaries with my ex the entire pregnancy. There I was, still in my hospital gown, watching David throw his jacket over his shoulder while our 2-day-old daughter slept in the bassinet. My mother-in-law stood by the door with her arms crossed, shaking her head at me like I'd committed some terrible crime. "Jessica, how could you say something so cruel?" she whispered, but loud enough for the nurses to hear. I couldn't believe what was happening. One innocent comment and suddenly I'm the villain. Marcus had just leaned over to see little Emma, and I smiled at him and said, "Maybe she's yours after all." It was obviously a joke because she has David's exact nose and everyone could see it. "It was harmless," I told David as he grabbed his phone charger. "Marcus knows Emma is yours. Why are you being so dramatic?" David stopped packing and looked at me with these cold, distant eyes I'd never seen before. "You just asked another man if this is his baby in front of our entire family, in front of the nurses, after everything that's happened these past 9 months. My mom stepped forward, looking uncomfortable. "Honey, maybe you should apologize. That was inappropriate timing. Even my own mother was turning against me. I'd just given birth 12 hours ago. I was exhausted and emotional, and everyone was acting like I'd done something terrible over one little comment. I can't believe you're all ganging up on me when I just had a baby," I said, feeling tears start. "I'm the one who's been in labor for 18 hours, and you're worried about Marcus's feelings." That's when David's sister Sarah spoke up from the corner. "Jess, this isn't about one comment. We've all been watching this for months. Let me explain how this all started, because clearly everyone's forgotten how supportive and mature I've been throughout this entire pregnancy. My name's Jessica. I'm 29 and work as a dental hygienist. David's 31 and manages IT for a local company. We've been married 2 years, and this baby was planned and wanted. Marcus was my college boyfriend. We dated for 3 years and stayed friends after we broke up 5 years ago. When I got pregnant, he was genuinely excited for me and David. He's always been supportive of my relationships, and I thought it showed how evolved we all were that we could maintain a friendship. About 6 months into my pregnancy, Marcus started checking in more frequently. He'd text, asking how I was feeling, if I needed anything, how the appointments went. David seemed fine with it at first. He even said it was nice that I had extra support during pregnancy. Marcus came to my baby shower, which I thought was sweet. He brought this beautiful handmade crib that probably cost $800. David got a little quiet when he saw it, but I reminded him that Marcus is a carpenter and makes furniture for everyone. It wasn't romantic, it was just his skill. "Why does Marcus need updates on every doctor's appointment?" David asked one evening in my 7th month. "He's just interested in the baby's health," I explained. "He asks because he cares about me and wants to make sure everything's going well." David frowned. "But he texts you more than your own mother does about the pregnancy." I thought David was being a little possessive, honestly. Marcus and I have always been close friends, and pregnancy is a time when you need all the support you can get. I wasn't hiding anything. David could see the texts if he wanted. When I went into labor, I posted on social media that we were heading to the hospital. Marcus immediately texted, asking if I wanted him there for support. David said absolutely not, but I thought he was being unreasonable. Marcus had been part of this journey, and it seemed cruel to exclude him from the birth. We compromised. Marcus could visit after Emma was born, but not during active labor. During delivery, David was amazing and supportive. When Emma finally arrived at 3:47 a.m., she was perfect. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, with David's nose and my eyes. The nurse placed her on my chest, and I felt this overwhelming love and exhaustion. Around noon the next day, family started visiting. David's parents, my mom, his sister Sarah. Everyone was cooing over Emma and taking pictures. That's when Marcus showed up with flowers and a stuffed elephant. He walked right over to my bedside and looked down at Emma with this expression of pure wonder. "She's absolutely beautiful, Jess. She looks just like you." Actually, she has David's nose, David said from across the room, but Marcus was focused on the baby. Her hands are so tiny, Marcus said softly, reaching out to touch her little fingers. That's when I looked up at him and smiled. Maybe she's yours after all. The room went completely silent. Even Emma seemed to stop making her little baby noises. Marcus stepped back from the bed, his face bright red. Jess, What? David's mother gasped. Sarah's mouth fell open. My own mom looked mortified. It was a joke, I said quickly, realizing everyone was staring at me. Obviously it was a joke. Look at her nose, she's clearly David's baby. But David was already standing up, his face white. Get out, he said to Marcus. David, I didn't ask her to say that, Marcus said, backing toward the door. I would never. I said get out. Marcus left immediately, and then David turned to me. That's when everything fell apart. He started packing his things while our families watched in shock. You've been crossing boundaries with him this entire pregnancy, David said quietly. The constant texting, including him in every milestone, accepting expensive gifts, having him at the hospital. And now this. That's ridiculous, I protested. We're just friends. I was making a joke because I'm exhausted and emotional. A joke? Sarah stepped forward. Jess, we've all watched Marcus act like he's the father for months. He knew your due date before some of our family did. David's mother nodded. He was more invested in this pregnancy than your own father. I looked around the room at all these people who were supposed to love and support me, and they were all looking at me like I'd done something horrible. I can't believe you're all taking his side over some innocent comment. It's not innocent, David said, zipping up his bag. Nothing about this has been innocent. My mom tried to mediate. Maybe everyone should calm down and talk about this tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about, David replied. I'm staying at my brother's place. When she's ready to admit what she's been doing, she can call me. He walked over to Emma's bassinet, kissed her forehead gently, and whispered, I love you, baby girl. Then he looked at me one more time. I can't do this anymore, Jess. And he left, just walked out of the maternity ward, while I sat there holding our newborn daughter, trying to understand how one harmless comment had destroyed my marriage. The next morning, the nurse came in to check on me and asked where David was. When I explained he'd left, she gave me this look like she'd seen everything the day before and wasn't surprised. Within a week, David filed for separation. His family stopped returning my calls. Even some of our mutual friends started acting distant when I reached out. Marcus tried to text me an apology, but I ignored him. This was all his fault for being so dramatic about an obvious joke. The custody arrangement gives David every other weekend and Wednesday nights. He comes to pick up Emma with this polite, distant attitude like I'm a stranger. I still don't understand why everyone took a harmless joke so seriously. I'd just given birth and was obviously exhausted. Subscribe if you think some jokes should never be made, even as a harmless comment. Hit like if you believe she got what she deserved, and tell me in the comments. Was this really just an innocent joke, or the final straw that broke everything?